What's up YouTube, Ben here, welcome to the next video on the channel. Today I'm going to give you my Mirage Prime Steel Path viable build. So if you want to see more content like this, please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Please remember to hit that like button because it's really important for the algorithm. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell to be notified of all uploads and live streams, and don't forget to join me on my social links. Those links are in the description below. Let's get into the video. Alright, so Mirage is a Warframe that excels on being a weapon specialist. Basically, with her abilities, she can make almost any weapon viable. But in the hands of people like me who have viable builds for Steel Path already, it just amplifies those powers and it makes them ridiculously overpowered. Now, whilst Mirage is a very good weaponsmith frame, she is, of course, incredibly squishy and can be kinda hard to play on the Steel Path, especially if you cannot take much of punishment. But let's jump into the build. So, we're running Corrosive Projection as the Aura mod, which reduces enemy armor by 18%. We're running Narrow Minded for 99% ability duration and negative 66% ability range. Prime Continuity for 55% ability duration. Prime Flow for 275% energy max. Blind Rage for 99% ability strength, negative 55% ability efficiency. We're running Vitality for 440% health. Hall of Malevolence, which is one of her augment mods. Hall of Mirrors augment, the damage of your doppelgangers is increased by 5% every time you kill an enemy, which is very staple for this build because it helps to get out a lot more of the damage. Transient Fortitude for plus 55% ability strength and negative 27.5% ability duration. And Adaptation, when damaged, 9.5% resistance to that damage type for 90 seconds, stacks up to 90%, allowing you to eat a few more hits with Mirage. Running Arcane Energize and Arcane Blade Charger, of course my Arcanes aren't complete. And Power Drift in the Exilus mod slot for 15% ability strength and 30% chance to resist knockdowns. Although you can replace this with Prime Sure-Footed if you want to. Unfortunately, mine's currently not max level, so I'm using Power Drift currently. So we're rocking more of a duration and strength-based build, which is primarily what you're going to want with her, primarily because of her damage. You want the clones to last for as long as possible, as well as dealing good damage. I also want to quickly point out as well, I swapped out her ultimate for Gloom, because Gloom is incredibly good on any frame that uses power strength as its main draw. One, because it slows enemies to almost a complete stop, and two, because it allows you to regenerate health. But mainly you're going to be using Eclipse and Hall of Mirrors. Sleight of Hand can also be kinda useful as well, but again, it's not as necessary. Hall of Mirrors and Eclipse are your two go-tos. Of course, Hall of Mirrors is what summons her doppelgangers, and then Eclipse allows her to either deal more damage whilst in light, or eat more hits in the dark by increasing her defense. So, incredibly good for this, and the weapon setup we're going to be using on the mission is Kuva Brahma, we're going to rock Aximati Prime, and Colossus. So, let's jump into the mission and I'll show you what Mirage can do. Alright, so we're here on Oxymoko in the Void on the Steel Path, and I'm going to quickly mention the reason why I do this every time I do a build guide. The reason I come to Oxymoko in the Void is because 1, it's the latest game area in the Steel Path you can access. 2, it has almost every kind of enemy type here, enemies with high health and shields, and high armor, so it gives you a good representation of what you're going to be dealing with just basic enemy wise. But let's jump in. So we'll activate Hall of Mirrors and Eclipse in order to get the damage bonuses. And as soon as we start wrecking stuff, you can basically see that already she is ridiculously OP. And with a weapon like Brahma, because it doesn't only just duplicate the weapon, but it also duplicates the multi-shot on whatever weapon you're using. Meaning, my Brahma shots are ridiculous. The unfortunate thing is, because I'm not using Prime Sure-Footed, I won't always resist the knockdowns, but that's okay, because we're still getting the damage out. Now, of course, Brahma is already an OP weapon, so let's switch to Aximati Prime. So we'll start building up that secondary Merciless. And with Mirage, you basically rip through everything. Now, my Aximati build is actually also on the channel in the playlist, So I'd highly recommend, because Max Amati build is pretty good on its own anyway. But as you can see, Mirage basically just shreds everything.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Because Mirage really doesn't care too much about enemy shields or anything. She sort of just rips through, and it's great. Like, Mirage is a fantastic frame for the Steel Path. Although, like I said, she can be very difficult to play because of how squishy she can be. But once you've got your Gloom active, it's not too bad at all. Like, just even getting in close range is ridiculously easy for Mirage. Now, I'm hoping the Acolyte will spawn so I can show you how easy it is to shred through one. The Acolytes are incredibly easy to shred through with Mirage. Although, like I said, you do have to be careful. It's kind of like when I showed you my Limbo viable Steel Path build. Because of how squishy she is, kind of like Limbo, you do have to be very careful. The difference is, unlike with Limbo, Mirage has the damaging abilities to back herself up. So, you know, on the Steel Path, she doesn't have as much of an issue as Limbo, because Limbo doesn't have any quote-unquote really high damaging abilities on the Steel Path. In fact, he doesn't really have damaging abilities at all unless you're playing normal Star Chart. So, you know, Limbo's whole gimmick in the Steel Path is to hide within the rift in order to defend long enough to take out enemies. Whereas with Mirage, you basically use Hall of Mirrors and then Eclipse, and basically go ham because of how much damage Mirage can do. And like I said, Mirage is a weapon specialist, and because of her clones, she can basically make any weapons viable. Like, at one point I actually tested out one of the quote-unquote weakest weapons of the game, which is Dex Cyberus. A lot of people agree that Dex Cyberus is not really that good a weapon anymore. So I was actually testing Dex Cyberus on the Steel Path just to see what would happen. And do you know what? Whilst it wasn't great, I was still able to complete a mission with it. So
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
but it doesn't look like the Acolyte's going to spawn, so if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button because it really helps with the algorithm. Don't forget to comment down below what you think of the build. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to be notified of all uploads and live streams. And don't forget to join me on my social links. Those links are in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time.